All right, guys, today we are going to be reviewing the Rail5 from Likebike. And a quick disclaimer, you'll see the little paid promotion tab there. That is because this bike was sent to me for free. However, they are not paying me for this review and they did not tell me what to say. They simply asked if I wanted to do an honest review and I said yes. This is not the first bike from Likebike that I have tested. About a year ago, I tested their Lander model. They no longer make it, but they do make the Seeker, which is very similar. What I like about the company is that they are a very budget-friendly e-bike company. They offer multiple full-size bikes for around the $400 price point, and that is unheard of in this industry. I'll put a link in the description for their website so you can check out all their bikes. But like I said, this one is the Rail5, and this is actually one of their premium bikes. And the assembly process of this bike was pretty much the same as any other e-bike that I've tested. Once you get it out of the box and remove all of the packing material, you have to install anything that wouldn't have fit in that box. So you've got your pedals, your front tire, your handlebars, your seat, that kind of thing. The only issue that I ran into was that this was clearly a little bit jostled during shipping. So I did have to modify the rear rack to just kind of bend the steel just a little bit apart. And then I noticed that the lower swing arm bolt was just a little bit loose. Again, I don't think this was caused by the manufacturer. I think this was a shipping issue. So after I tightened everything up, I plugged it in to give it a full charge. So this is what the bike looks like all put together. Now I told you this is one of their premium bikes, so we've got a lot of upgraded components here. Starting off with the brakes, we do have hydraulic disc brakes, both front and rear. We do have rear as well as front suspension. We have a 960 watt motor. This is a 48 volt system with a 20 amp hour battery. The battery has a charging port on the side here, not only for the bike that we charge it, you can also charge your phone off the USB charger right there. We've got a headlight, a taillight. We've got a horn, turn signals, and our headlight switch. We also have our control panel here. Go ahead and get the display turned on. It is a very clean display along with very simple controls right over here. We do have a 7-speed Shimano shifter and we have a half twist throttle. This bike is a step-through design and younger me would have made fun of that, but the older I get, the more I like that feature, especially because my wife can just hop on and ride it. Now this bike is rated to go 70 miles on that 20 amp hour battery, and I'll tell you right now, it's definitely not going to make it that far, at least with me riding on it. Now, I prefer to ride these bikes around generally in pedal assist 5, and I use the throttle an awful lot, so I burn through them. Plus, I'm taking this thing on a 12-mile journey that has a 1.5 miles that is a very steep uphill. So we will probably, best case scenario, get around 30 to 35 miles out of it. I think that that's what you can expect. It's generally half whatever the manufacturer says, and that's not with Likebike, that's with all e-bikes out there. The 70-mile range is almost certainly doable if you keep the pedal assist down and you pedal. But let's stop talking and get this thing out on the road. All right, before I go out on the street, I do want to take this on a trail that I've got in my backyard, partly so I can test the off-road abilities, but mostly just because I'm proud that I finally got this little trail carved out of the woods. I will say, this thing is better off-road than I was expecting. Now, I weigh 170 pounds and the suspension feels perfectly balanced. Usually it's way too stiff or way too soft on these e-bikes. All right, let's take this thing out on the street. All right, we are out of the off-road portion and ready for the top speed run. Let's see what we can do. We are just a little bit downhill right now. We're at 28 miles an hour. It is holding right around 28. What a beautiful day. A little bit smoky. Well, we took that thing up to 36 miles an hour, still super stable. All right, this is by far the most brutal part of this little test that I'm doing. This is the very steep incline that we just went down. And if we can maintain really to anything above, say, 12 miles per hour, we're looking good. I think the slowest I've seen was somewhere around 8 miles an hour, and the fastest I think was somewhere around 17. I'm expecting this to be somewhere in the middle. So we're starting at the bottom here, we're at 20, and it's slowing down pretty quick as we hit this incline. This is the steepest part right here, and I'm currently in 7th gear. I'll drop down to 5th gear, give me just a little bit more power. We are at 13 miles an hour. At the steepest part of our incline there, we bottomed out at around 12 miles an hour. We are steadily climbing. We're at 16 right now. We've got one more steep portion up here around this top turn, and we'll see where it ends up. Looks like we bottomed out at around 17 miles per hour, which is pretty average for a bike equipped with this size motor. Now that we're back on the flat part here, we are right back up to 28 miles an hour. We did lose a decent amount of our battery on that hill, but that is expected. I stand by my statement around 35 miles if you are going to be in pedal assist 5 and really full throttle like I am. So let's get this back home and give you guys my final thoughts. All right, we've got enough miles on this bike to know our likes and dislikes. So let's start with the likes, and that would be price. This bike comes in under $1,200, at least that's the price right now. And for that price, it is about $300 to $400 less than the equivalent bikes that I've tested. And when I say equivalent, I mean features like the hydraulic brakes, a 20 amp hour battery, and a 960 watt motor. So I still say that Likebike is the best deal for bikes right now. I also really like that there is the charging port on the side there. You could run a cable up to the top here and have a little mount for either like an action camera or for your phone and keep that charged while you're riding around. Now let's talk about dislikes, and that is the seat. That's the only thing I found on this bike that I don't like. I don't love that it has the little springs right there. It feels a little bit to me like it is shifting while I was riding. I kept looking down to actually see if it was. It wasn't moving, but it just kind of has that feel, and it's a little bit too soft for my liking. However, this bike is going to my buddy Ben, who also has a YouTube channel. It's called Building Code Tips. You may have seen him on this channel before. We call him Grandpa Ben because he acts like a grandpa. He is going to love this bike. The fact that it is the step through, the nice cushiony seat, and especially the cargo rack in the rear. So he is going to absolutely love this bike. I think that's a matter of preference. I know some people will like that, some people don't, but that's what I think about it. So if you're interested in buying this bike or checking out the other Likebike products, I'll put a link for that in the description below. Hope this helps.
Thanks for watching, everybody. Bye-bye.